You're right. Do not be afraid. This is there are two things often that you encounter in Scripture when there is some sort of declaration that something significant is about to happen. You get woe unto me, woe unto you. That's the bad one. You don't want to hear woe unto you, right? More often, you have either an angel or a prophet or the voice of the Lord saying, do not be afraid. You get this as God speaks to Abraham. You get this as God speaks to Moses out of the burning bush. You get this as God speaks to Mary, announcing that Jesus is coming. You get this as God speaks to the shepherds. So do not be afraid is kind of what scholars will talk about as a initiation of a salvation oracle. That something good, something life-giving, something saving is about to be shared. So your ears should perk up. Do not be afraid. The second thing, though, that what follows is, am I in the place of God? On one hand, this sort of feels like a move of humility. Right? Recognizing that even though Joseph is now the second most powerful person in one of the most powerful empires that the world has known, he's recognizing that he doesn't have kind of ultimate power or authority. There's something beautiful about that recognition that this isn't for me. It also, though, creates a measure of distance, right? Because for the brothers, what is front and center is their guilt. They want to be forgiven. And Joseph can forgive them. And so is he saying, am I in the place of God? I'm not going to execute judgment on you. I'm not going to be the one who punishes you for what you've done. But also, he's not saying, like, we're good. I mean, there have been moments already in the story where there have been attempts at reconciliation. But that guilt is still in the air. Right? I think, ultimately, though, it is a signal to us that something bigger is at work here than just the brothers' guilt, their own feelings of inadequacy, that like what he is sharing with them, what he is announcing is bigger than their own concerns right here and now. Okay? Because as you said, this is kind of the heart of it. Even though you intended to do me harm, God intended it for good in order to preserve a numerous people as he is doing today. Where the brothers are concerned about their own guilt, God and Joseph are articulating that this is part of a larger thing. That everything that has transpired is in an effort to care for this family, that God has been in a covenantal relationship for generations. And so it's about something bigger than just what they're feeling. But it raises, for me, some more questions, too. The way that it gets translated into the NRSV, it says, even though you intended to do harm, or God intended, most scholars are going to argue that it should probably be you planned it for evil, and God planned it for good. And that makes it even harder, I think. Plans, dreams, designs, desires, that can lead us down a road of thinking as though everything is mapped out. Every twist and turn, everything that this family has experienced was inevitable. That the brothers were pawns, that Joseph was a pawn in a larger story, that all of this took place in order that he would, go to prison and then, have this experience with Potiphar's wife, and then go to prison and then sit there for 2 years. Like, it can feel really mechanistic. And I don't like that. Walter Brueggemann, who's one of my favorite Old Testament scholars, he just recently passed away in the last few months, was still writing a ton, like even the week before he died. He was just this incredible, prolific writer. But he wrote a lot on Genesis, and he said, in relation to this text, he said, life in this world is cast between competing plans for death and plans for life. And what he is saying is that in the face of things that feel as though they are plans for death, God is committed to working for a plan of life, of well-being, of hope and health and healing and wholeness. Right? Yes, Karen.
I think it's one of the most fantastic stories that God has included in the Bible for us today, because we go through misery. Joseph went, not only his brothers just wanted to get rid of him. I don't think they were even thinking in the long term, he was going to sell whatever. They wanted to get rid of him. But then you had Potiphar's wife, and then you had the cupbearer, and you had all these things on top of each other. But the key is that Joseph, as the other wonderful Davids and the Noahs and the, Jobs in the Bible, they never lost sight of God. They always trusted and loved God and did their best. And at the end, God saw him the whole time. He heard his prayers the whole time.
I think that second part, Karen, is the thing that I find most helpful for me, is throughout this story, you have this affirmation that God was with Joseph. And I don't get the sense that it hinges on anything that Joseph does, any faithful response necessarily that he embodies, but it is this promise that God, in some overt ways and some behind the scenes ways, is present in Joseph's life.